I think today, first of all, I mean, I was going to talk about myself and that, but I thought, well, I'll throw it back at you and say, well, if you want to know more about me and you want to know the backstory, book a one-to-one and I'll tell you all about it. And I'll get the old, pull up the sandbag and all that business and tell you all the little quirky stories that I've told Janice most of them, even some of the clean ones. So yeah, just get in touch and I'll tell you all about my backstory and how I got into psychology. But one of the things I wanted to do today was just tell people exactly what an occupational psychologist does, because it's what I'm always asked all of the time. And we get mixed up with occupational therapists. Sometimes people think, oh, occupational psychologist, and think I'm going to start stroking my beard and asking people about their childhood. They think that I'm a mind reader and all of those things. So I wanted to dispel some myths. So I've got a little video for you to watch now. And I'm just going to stop the screen share for 1 second and just make sure that I've got the sound set up to play. Because I know that we have to, there we go. So okay, that should work now. Okay, so that's just a little snippet of what we actually do, and it is quite broad, actually. In other countries, we're known as industrial psychologists, organizational psychologists, but we do like our title, and it has been discussed that we're going to change that. So I thought I'd just tell you what sets us apart from other professions. Well, psychology is a postgraduate career, so to be a chartered and registered psychologist, you've got to have gone through your bachelor's degree, and it's got to be accredited to the British Psychological Society. So there's certain aspects that you have to do on there, those being the biological aspects of psychology as well. So certain modules that have to fit into that. And then you have to do a master's in the profession that you're going to go into. So mine was, funnily enough, in occupational psychology, which again has to be attributed to the British Psychological Society. And that's known as stage 1 qualification, which is strange for a master's because it's quite far down the line. But that's stage 1 qualification, because the second part to that, the stage 2, is the chartership, which is a further 3 to 4 years of study on top of that, which is a doctoral level qualification. We're not called doctors because it's practitioner psychologists, so it's more of practice. So we carry out a lot of work in the working environments, and that we write up, we look at how we've actually put interventions together, and then we submit a whopping portfolio of about 120,000 words for that chartership over that time. It's not doctoral because it doesn't have the same academic rigor, arguably, as a PhD would, and it's not purely based, it's not affiliated with a university. So that's why we're doctoral level, but chartered psychologists. And the title occupational psychologist is protected under that title as well. So if anyone uses the title occupational psychologist, they must have gone through the chartered status, and they must be registered with Healthcare Professions Council, and also be a full member of the Division of Occupational Psychology with the British Psychological Society. So from all of that, and it's the point that I get to, with regards to what sets us apart from other professions, is that accountability that we have to these governing bodies. We can't do what we do without being accountable, as simple as that. And it's also the empirical evidence that we use in our interventions as well. So everything that we do is based on current empirical evidence, and we have an obligation to do that under the regulations and the ethics that are set out to us. So with regards to the ethical considerations then, so with the BPS, we've got the ethical considerations, the ethics and conduct guide, and that's with respect, competence, responsibility, and integrity. It's not quite as straightforward as just those four. There are obviously subcategories to each of those. So the definitions of respect and integrity, whether we would act in the right way should something wrong have happened, or if anything's gone wrong or anything like that. So it is quite in depth, quite a lot of rules, and we have to demonstrate that we're adhering to these all of the time. The other considerations that we have are the standards of the Healthcare and Professions Council. And I've got another short video, this is about 1.5 minutes, that tells you a little bit about this.
The standards of conduct, performance and ethics set out the behaviours we expect of our registered professionals. These are our high-level ethical standards, and registrants must promote and protect the interests of service users and carers, communicate appropriately and effectively, work within the limits of their knowledge and skills, delegate appropriately, respect confidentiality, manage risk, report concerns about safety, be open when things go wrong, be honest and trustworthy, and keep records of their work. It is important that registrants meet our standards and are able to practice safely and effectively. The standards need to reflect public expectations of professionals and the high standards that professionals expect of each other. They are important because they help us make decisions about the character of professionals who apply to our register, and we use them if someone raises a concern about a registrant's practice. On the rare occasions that something goes wrong, we use the standards to decide whether we need to take action about a complaint to protect members of the public. Importantly for service users, they outline what the public should expect from their health and care professional.
Okay, so you can see how rigorous that is for us and what we have to adhere to there. And I think also, within the Healthcare and Professions Council, we are obliged to carry out CPD. So there are hours of CPD that we have to do each year. We have to log that because we're audited every 3 years to make sure that we're actually doing what we should do. And if there's any misalignments there, then we can be struck off the list. So when you hear of doctors or anyone like that being struck off the list, that's exactly the same body. And we're taken off there for not carrying out our obligations. So for me, making sure that we actually contract and screen clients effectively before we go into any sort of treatments or any sort of programs with them is absolutely vitally important. And the way that I do that is by having a good initial consultation to really get to the crux of what is actually happening there and what they actually want to gain out of this. If at that point I feel uncomfortable or it's not sitting well with me, then I will pass them on to another professional, simple as that. It's not a case of this is going to pay me some money, so I'm going to do it anyway. There's got to be a decision that we make there. The other thing that I use quite a lot is a site called Novopsych. And in that site, there's an absolute monstrous amount of psychometric assessments that I can use to screen individuals. So such as the the DAS-42, which is depression, anxiety, stress scales. So we can send that out, or I can send that out to a client, and it's quite straightforward, really. You know, that link just goes straight to them. They click on the link, put the details in, their age, and then fill in the questionnaire, and that will come back to me, and then I can do some analysis on that and decode what they've put in there, and that will give me a measure as to how high their levels of anxiety are. And again, that gives me something more tangible where I can say, hang on a minute, this is clinical, you need to go to see your doctor, and then we can proceed based on what the doctor said there. So it is quite thorough. And that all leads to us making that professional decision as to what we should do going forwards. So, you know, that's just a little bit of a snapshot there. If anyone is interested in the psychometrics, the screening or anything like that, then just get in touch. I don't mind dropping you a link and letting you have a go on that one. And it's all confidential as well. So again, you know, I don't mind telling you if there are things that you might like to consider talking about or thinking about going forwards from that, then, you know, we can actually have a look at that. Or it could be something that you just want to do for a little bit of fun. So I think that's about my 10 minutes up. It might be a little bit over. So are there any questions?